Hey guys, here we are, the Quiggin Out MMA Podcast, and as you can see, I've got a full lineup today, and it's actually the first show I've done with 4 people total, myself included. We've got Phil Lambert, still not Ryan Loco, aka Speedy Ruiz, and Ryan Loco here at the bottom. How we doing, everybody?
Great. Fantastic.
Doing good.
I love that we're doing the Brady Bunch and nobody knows where to look.
Doesn't work.
We tried
It just makes it better.
We tried
I figured it
planning
out.
this and
You
it
guys
still
are
didn't
on
work.
this side. Ryan is still down here.
The thing is, you just want to be, if you're in the Brady Bunch, you want to be in the center square, and then that way, anywhere you look works. You know what I mean?
I think
You got
you're...
strategy already.
Yeah, everybody's there except me.
We're short 5 people, Ryan.
I'll get to work.
I mean, if
Yeah.
we can get 5
I'll
more
make some
people...
babies real quick.
If we
I'll
can
go
get 5
adopt
more
3
people, I'll be
children,
impressed.
Like Mike Brady did. Do we ever talk about the fact that we don't know what happened to their other halves? Like the fact that Carol Brady just like hooked up with like the dad never wants to see his kids, and then like Mike, his wife, never wants to see their kids. Like we just accepted it.
I think Ryan just pitched a new TV show, like the other Brady Bunch.
Yeah, like what happened to them?
We call that the not-so in this house.
And the fact that like how could he? What did he do? Was he an architect?
He was a drug
Yes.
mule. Definitely a drug mule.
I mean, like they had a giant house. They had to take care of 6 children. They had a dog. Then they had that cousin kid come in the last season, and then they had a maid. They had a freaking like I don't know. I think she might have lived with them, right?
I think I'm actually the only one old enough here to have actually seen the first run episodes. Of
I
this.
think
you-
you
yeah,
are.
you probably
Sorry,
actually-
Phil.
Dude, we had to like read this.
So I gotta say, us talking about the Brady Bunch was not how I thought this was gonna start, but that's fantastic.
This is the Brady Bunch podcast now.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. There's
The
just
Hawaii episode.
Marsha just pops into the middle, like uninvited. Like,
Yeah.
I think Jan would actually be the one popping in uninvited, but you know.
She always Jan. Jan ruins everything.
Well, again, guys, thank you so much for being here. It's a great start, and the reason I brought all of you together is because we all have something in common. We all love photography. We love capturing pictures, and I feel like each one of us has a special skill set that most people don't know you for. So I kind of want to talk, and we'll start with Phil. No, that way, Phil. Everybody point to Phil on their screens, so it works.
That's me.
And we'll talk about what everybody knows you for, and then talk about what everybody doesn't know. So the things that you shoot outside of combat sports.
So yeah, I think a majority of people know me anymore from Bare Knuckle, because other than Ryan covered for me at Bare Knuckle 9, and he's helped out at other Bare Knuckles. I've shot combat sports. I kind of puppy dogged him and James Law like back 10 years ago. I think whenever 116 was probably the first time I met James, and I think that was no, it wasn't 116. It was in Denver. It was 116. That was in Vegas, and then Denver. I actually got to sit and work with Ryan or with James, and then Ryan in different places, and then at World Series with Ryan. But combat sports is pretty much what people know me for now. But I do a lot of stuff for ESPN, like X Games, and I've been in the moto industry probably 15 years. For doing outdoors and supercross and things of that nature, but I handle a lot of the Winter X because I live here in Colorado. I cover all of the Winter X for everybody, and then I do some other off-brand things. I went to Hawaii. I shot the North Shore and surfing. So just it's random things that pop up that people go, "When did you shoot that?" And like I said, it's just a different genre of what majority of people know my photography for.
And you were talking a little bit about shooting some hockey too, which hockey's back. Any hockey fans listening?
Yeah. So I shoot,
it's rough.
Yeah, I shoot for a minor league team, the Colorado Avs minors, and the Avs occasionally, but the Colorado Eagles is who they are. So I'm their lead photographer here. I do that as well. It's the nice thing is the rink is about 20 minutes from my house, and it's not a huge paying gig, but it leads you into the NHL, which is kind of nice. And occasionally you get a few things off of it, maybe someday. But I'm waiting for Scott Rovak to kindly back out of the Blues, and I'll walk into St. Louis. I'll go back home for that. So
there you go, man. So, and I think that's pretty exciting because shooting MMA, shooting hockey, shooting motocross, like those are action sports. They're things that are moving all the time, things that are going, but they're three completely different skill sets that you need to capture those. So why?
Oh, well, look at Ryan going from MMA to tennis.
Listen, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. So why the differences? We'll get into that. So we'll go to Speedy. Kind of tell everybody who you are, who doesn't know, because obviously you're still not Ryan Loco. So talk a little bit about.
Very lucky for him.
I just wanted to clarify. We look so similar. I didn't want to confuse anybody.
He came on first and he just said not Ryan Loco, and then he backed out and came back in. He's still not Ryan Loco.
This is the sequel now.
I got really confused because I'm like, Ryan doesn't have facial hair.
Thanks, guys. We know. We all know that.
Do you want some of mine?
Sorry.
I would love stuff.
Here you go.
So jealous.
I'm gonna make a guest leave because we're making fun of facial hair. All right, Speedy, you're up.
Yeah. So right now, currently, I am the All Elite Wrestling portrait photographer. I'll switch it for them, and both, but primarily I'm their portrait photographer. And then outside of All Elite Wrestling, I also do independent wrestling, mostly in Florida, but I do also Louisiana, Georgia, North Carolina, New Jersey, and if I keep going, I'll be a mainstay in Alaska too, which is kind of weird. It's kind of like a funky thing.
That's pretty cool, actually.
yeah. I mean, there's not much running up there, so like the one promotion that's up there, they kind of drag me up there if they need me, so it's pretty fun. But yeah, I also shoot. I shoot every now and then WWE stuff for Miami Herald, so I do freelance for them. I used to dabble in MMA, so I'm kind of like you guys, but like, I kind of went more towards the wrestling stuff. I just went hardcore into the wrestling stuff. And when I'm not doing wrestling stuff, I do action figure photography. So I have a bunch of this stuff.
That's awesome.
And just do like little toy stuff. And
if you haven't seen his stuff, it is pretty incredible because that's actually why I started following you. Had nothing to do with the wrestling or the MMA. It was literally action figure photography.
Huh.
Ferris does a lot of that. You've worked with Matt, Ryan. Yeah, Ferris. Do you know what is his Matt?
Byrne.
Matt Byrne.
Yeah.
Matt Byrne photography. He does a lot of. He's got like 2 or 3 Instagrams. One of them is
all action figure stuff is incredible.
Yeah.
Like using like firecrackers and stuff to make explosions. Like the stuff that you guys come up with when you're doing action figure stuff is unreal.
It's amazing. Yeah.
It's so much fun. Like you can just like make anything that's just like gigantic kind of look like even bigger with just like tinier scale things. It's weird. I got like a shopping cart the other day. I actually still have it here. Ah! I got the shopping cart. just chilling, just pushing along his buddy. It's fun. Like
nice.
It's just like stuff to get me out of that like creative kind of like, not that like wrestling is boring, but like after a while I need something completely different, and that just throws me for a loop. So that's what I do. I started off in skateboarding, but not anything like as big as like X Games or anything, unfortunately. I just started taking pictures of like my friends because I sucked. So I just took pictures of my friends who were a lot cooler. And then I went into wrestling.
I mean, that's why I take pictures of fights because I'm not getting hit in the face.
You know what? Same. Yeah. So yeah, that's me. That's all me. And that's it.
All right. And last but not Loco, least. We're going to bring... So, Ryan, talk about everything you do, because I think out of all of us, you definitely have the widest range when it comes to what you do. So, we could talk a little bit about what you do, what everybody knows you for, and then kind of talk about a little bit more, including the tennis that Phil brought up earlier that ruined my surprise.
I started doing MMA stuff, mostly because I was doing documentary film stuff, and so I thought I was going to make documentary films, like little mini films, my whole life. But instead, I started taking photos, and it kind of blew up and went from there because of the access I had, with the fighters.
Mm-hmm.
And
I remember those days.
Yeah, so I was doing exactly. So it was like just shooting MMA stuff, and then that sort of like kind of branched off to doing other things, and so I've shot everything from college basketball, college hockey, pro hockey. just a bunch of
Football.
random concerts and stuff like that. And
College
then
football, we don't leave that out.
college football, yeah, go Huskers. And then that led to I shot tennis, and so this last month I was in West Virginia for an entire month just shooting tennis every day. And yeah, it was awesome. Like, it was very difficult because having to shoot the exact same thing every day in the exact same venue with the exact same people. And I know Speedy can deal with this as well because, you know, the AEW roster does change, but obviously there's the cores. And so when you're shooting in the same place all the time, to change it up to make it look different, not even for everyone else, just for yourself, because your brain goes crazy because you're sitting there. Other people might look at the photo and be like, that's really cool. And you're sitting there going, I took that for the last 4 weeks. Like, it's not cool. Like, you know, that's the hardest part.
And I remember when I asked you to do the show originally, you're like, well, I'm shooting tennis for the next 24 days. And I just went,
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And then I saw some of the pictures. And like you said, you look at them and you're like, holy shit. Like, that's amazing. But I can get what you're looking at, where you're like, I took that yesterday. I took that 2 weeks ago.
I already took every photo, like, after the first week was a photo that I already took. And so it was this challenge to try to figure out how to get a new photo. And then also, like, we're stuck in a hotel for a month. I'm basically living in a bubble. You know, I have COVID tests. I took 3 or 4 COVID tests.
Did you get those up the nose?
Sweet wallpaper, though. You had some sweet wallpaper.
I did have sweet wallpaper. But, yeah, I took the first one up the nose, and then I did I did 2 in the nose, and then 1 swab of the mouth, and then 1 blood test. So I took 2 in the nose. It was a heck of a party. But yeah, so yeah, it was just a crazy unique experience because basically we all saw how, for photographers, that guys like us who shoot a lot of sports and crowd related activities, like, there was a giant period where it was dead, and then also thinking, what are we ever gonna, like, are we ever gonna do anything ever again? This is insane.
Well, and out of all of us, I remember, you know, when combat sports stopped, I mean, that people didn't realize that it not only stopped for athletes, it stopped for everybody behind the scenes. So what was that time like for everybody here when they weren't doing events? And I know Ryan's face and Phil's laughing. I don't know why, but
it was because of the text I was getting from him.
This show sucks. Why did you get me on here?
No,
during the event, when there was nothing going on, I would get text from Ryan. His hair would just be out. He's like, I'm going nuts.
Yeah.
So,
like, I will only speak for myself, but I'm sure it's similar for both of them. But, like, there was that first, because I got the call. I had just shot at UFC, and then I drove to California to shoot a tennis event, and the tennis event got canceled the day I got there.
Oh my god!
And this was when, like, oh, you know, we don't know what's going on. So I had to fly all the way back home. And then it was like, man, that was a good gig. Like, I just missed a 4-day payday. That sucks. But I'm like, it's no big deal. We're going to figure this COVID thing out. And then all of a sudden, this got pushed back. And then, you know what, we're going to cancel this. And I had a really big shoot, and I was looking forward to it. And then I got the call, hey, just because of everything, we're going to put it on hold. And then that's when it really kicked in. And then I was like, wow, I've sat here for a month, and I haven't done anything. And so it was the combination of, like, 1, not doing anything, 2, not being in an airport because I was so used to traveling like every week or every other week. And then, you know, just realizing, like, yo, I'm not doing anything creatively because we were in quarantine, so there was nothing creatively to do, like, at least for me. I mean, I'm not shooting action figures, so I would hope that it maybe at least gave Speedy something to do.
Right.
That's all I did. I just did action figures. That's all I did. I was like, I have like a huge collection. I just took whatever I had on the shelf and started taking pictures of it. Eventually, I got bored, and I just started hiking. I just went out to the Everglades and just walked in one direction. Just took pictures of birds. But I got tired of the same birds over and over again. I was like, God, just give me like something that's gonna eat me or something.
Where was AEW at when the whole thing hit? Like, did they just, I'm trying to, because obviously you guys were traveling, right? Going to different venues. You weren't stuck to one venue. So how did it affect you? Like, did you have to skip any weeks, or did they just, I don't know.
Yeah, when it started, when the news started coming out, I think that was like what's before February? I think.
What's
was the last
before
time that we were
March?
traveling?
What month is it? We don't even know anymore.
What year is it?
Yeah.
It was March 12th when they cut me off in Kansas. So
Yeah, I was right in first week of March, second week of March.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that March seems correct. I remember it was Utah. So Utah, everything started to get a little scary. I was in Colorado the week before that, and then like the week after, they're like, "Yeah, we're just gonna not do anything." And I think that they just went to like some warehouse or something and did some studio stuff with like 10 people, a camera guy. It was weird, but I wasn't included until they started doing, Florida stuff again. I think that was like a month and a half, something like that. But yeah, they just did studio stuff, kind of like how the WWE is doing at the Performance Center. Just doing that stuff at a school or something.
So were you? Sorry, I'm just taking over.
Listen. There's four of us. It's gonna happen.
Sorry.
There's
I was
3
just
other people.
I was just genuinely curious. Like, so were you worried, like, afterwards, like, wow, that's it? Well, had a fun AEW run for a little while, and now that's it.
No, they're pretty good. Like every week they would update us on what's going on. They kind of like, we want to keep everybody, so like just chill out. We're trying to figure things out. And so every week we would get like a Zoom call and we'd figure out things. We talk about numbers and about how like the process of what we were going to start doing. So they talked about all the tests that we were going to take and like all the precautions, what hotels we were staying in, how to separate everybody and all that good stuff. It's all been pretty safe. I think like at the beginning there were no more than like 10 people per building where we were, and we're in a stadium. So like I was in the stadium and then they were in another building, so I had to walk from the stadium to the other building, and it was nuts. But like we're being like super safe. Even now we're being super safe. But yeah, between that time we were just talking and trying to figure things out. Really, the communication's really good at this company. You can tell like the higher ups care about everybody, so everybody's being all safe and stuff. So yeah, I mean,
and I think it's funny because one of the rules I usually have is that we don't talk about COVID, but it's something that's directly affected every one of you.
Yeah.
So I think it's relevant in this situation because of this. Like you said, now we're shooting a stadium that fills 50, 60,000 people, and there's just 10 of us. And there's some other guys in this other room, and they're over there. Like, this is stuff that 20 years ago, if somebody told us this was going to happen, we'd be like, no. We'll figure a way around it. So.
Yeah, I mean, like 4 years ago, we were like, yeah, we'll have something in place for a virus like that. And then it hit, and then everybody's like, what the fuck do we do?
So in
I
that
think
regard,
the hardest part is the fact that we all enjoy getting together, and also as far as when I shoot, and I'm sure it's very similar for you guys, the energy of the crowd plays a huge part, and like you can feel when a moment's going to be big, and when you shoot pro wrestling, you sort of have an idea where the match is going to go, so when like the arcs and everything, like crescendo. But like even with fights, you're like, oh wow, okay, now it's starting to shift. Like, oh my god, the crowd's getting into it, or the local person's winning, and so like it makes you elevate your game. And so when you don't have that, it's a really weird feeling to like be sitting there in silence, or like a big play happens and you're like, why is no one cheering? You're like, oh, it's because there's 4 people here.
And if you think like the last event I just shot, we had limited. For some reason they allowed some fans, but it was very, very limited. Everyone was face masked. But bare knuckle has a complete different sound than what like Glory has or what UFC has, and even 100%. Over a crowd. Yeah, even over you came to the one in Tampa, but even over the crowd, you can hear that connect. And in like this last event, it was so like apparent. You could hear that hit, and I'm sure Ryan's the same way. We watch for a shoulder, we watch for a hip to move, and that's when but man, when they connected, you take that shot, you hear your shudder, and then you hear that smack. It's a whole nother ball game. With nobody in there. But like I said, you got to have that atmosphere. It's the shots, the overalls.
And I love that you brought that up, because I will say it on every show if I have to. The sound of a bare knuckle hitting a skull is the worst sound I've ever heard in my life. And I will watch every single one of them. So
and we got Paige now, so that got released finally.
That is interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, it is very interesting.
And we will talk about that. I wasn't going to, but you brought it up. So, I think it's crazy what Ryan said when you start to feel the crescendo, because apparently we're music nerds. I mean, I was in band. I don't know about everybody else, so that was great. I love that because so I went to UFC 203 as a fan. I was a few rows from the cage, and that was the Stipe and Overeem fight. And like when you can start to feel something happening, for some reason I started videoing right as the knockout happened, like the second before it happened. And like you said, you're watching the hips, you're watching for movement, you're watching for this. Those aren't things you can be trained to do. Those are things you've learned over years and years and years of not only watching the sport, but shooting it. So I love that you brought that up, because it is an integral part of it. Because if you wait until you think there's going to be a big moment, you're going to miss it.
Right. Well, I always say that if I see the moment, I missed it. You know? If I see it in my camera, I screwed up. And like the most difficult thing I've noticed in shooting fights versus pro wrestling is that with fights, like catching the moment perfectly, it shows everything and you get the story, versus, and I'm sure Speedy will tell you, like shooting pro wrestling, the point of impact is usually not the best photo, because there really isn't a point of impact, because they're not really, you know what I mean? And so you actually have to be very, I think what Speedy does when he shoots pro wrestling, I think it's a lot more difficult, because we just have to document the action. That's fine. Whereas he has to somehow tell the story of the match and document it without people going, but wait, the fist isn't even near his face, you know?
Yeah, the high point of action with wrestling is usually before or after. It depends on the move, and depends where you are, because a lot of like the highest point of action is when the person is kind of just like receiving the blow. So you get like the motion of the hair or whatever, and then some of it's kind of just like right before it hits. Yeah, totally right.
Hey,
yeah.
Pro wrestling is real.
Oh shit, kayfabe.
Well, and it's crazy because I've been following Speedy's work for a while. Obviously, Phil and I have worked together and met like one time for the last 6 years. I remember being at a Punk Pro Wrestling show. You're welcome, Zach and Luna. And I saw Speedy taking pictures, and I told Phil right before we started, I said, this isn't just somebody that's here to take pictures. Like, this guy knows what he's doing, like where he was standing, not just the gear he had, because anybody can buy a nice camera. We've all been through that. Oh, your camera takes really nice pictures. Every one of you just rolled your eyes every single
weekend, man.
And I remember going, oh shit, that's Speedy. So I love that the diversity that comes from everybody. Phil's motocross to bare knuckle. You got Speedy doing, like you said, skateboarding to start. You're shooting shows in Port Richey, Florida, in a dead mall, which it is a dead mall that I spent 5.5 years of my life working in. To getting to shoot Mike Tyson for AEW. So I feel like people have no idea like really what goes into this and where it can take you. So, Phil, for you, I'm just going to throw this out. What was the hardest shot, or the one shot you wish you got that you didn't?
Okay. Everyone I take. I was trained by that guy. This guy did a lot of training with me, so yeah. Everyone I take, they're all bad. So
I never thought it would be so hard to point at a screen.
The one that probably still bothers me the most, I think, was 2016 X Games. I missed a gold medal shot, and of someone taking a bite out of a medal and then falling off the stage. And I'd just taken a shot with him holding the medal up, and I want to say it was I want to say it was Jared McNeil, but I can't remember. And then he fell off the stage, and I completely missed it because I came down and chimped my camera like a moron. So everyone's like, "Oh, did you get that?
Is that a technical term? Chimped?
Oh yeah, this is chimping's when you're taking the shot and then you do this to look at your shot. As I specifically, I can't remember who it was that taught me that. Just I turned my screen off, so after you take the picture, a lot of cameras will pop up with the image on the back. Mine is turned off to where I can take the image and it never lights up. So you just get in the habit of if it's not there, you don't look for it. And then when you're in between rounds, if you're going through keying your images, then you turn it on, you're looking through, and then the next round starts back up before you swap cards or that nature. You're there. You're not constantly going, oh, I get the shot. You just quit doing it, and it's like I'll look at it at the end of the round, or I'll look at it at the end of the fight.
And I love what Ryan said. If I see the shot, I missed it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's a crucial point, because shooting even local MMA, getting used to shooting through a cage for the first time, when I did 7 years ago, you really have to, like, if you're the person shooting through the cage as opposed to being on the top or having the Phil luxury of being on a catwalk during a hockey game, it's hard. And you said, you're looking down to say, did I get the shot? You look down, you look back up, there's a guy on the ground. You completely missed it. So we'll go to you, Speedy. So what's the one shot that was the hardest to take, or the one you wish you got that you didn't?
I think I'm in the same group as Phil and Ryan. I don't like any of the photos I take.
Which is crazy, because, not to blow smoke, but you're three of the best photographers I know. And I mean that, and that's why the three of you are.
I can step out of here and put James in my spot, or put Ryan in my spot, and I'll be fine. So
you gotta get out more.
Phil and Ryan.
Do you want me to say Al? I mean, I could have said Al, or I could have said.
Yeah. Feels like I gotta go now. Bye.
Recently, there was a moment that I missed, that I hit myself for. It was Cody Rhodes, which is the head of, or the head honcho-ish of AEW, for anybody who's listening who doesn't know. It was a cage match, and he climbed up to the top of the cage and jumped off, which is something that nobody expected, really, until he kind of just made it look like he was going to do it. So I run up to the 5th floor of this arena to get an aerial shot of the cage, because it looked impressive in this packed arena. And he's climbing up the cage. I'm like, oh shit, I have to go downstairs to a lower level to get a shot that's level to the cage, so I can get a better shot. Plus he had his back to me, so I had to go around the arena to get it. So I run over to the elevator and press the button. Elevator's not coming, and security guy's there. And I asked him, where's the stairs? And he's like, oh. So,
helpful.
Security guy doesn't know where the stairs are. Good job, dude. So if there's a fire, everybody on that floor is fucked. Sorry for the cursing or whatever, but
no, you're good. You see, you missed the disclaimer. You're fine.
I heard it. I just whatever. I apologize a lot. So, so as I'm pressing the button, I hear the crowd going, oh! I'm like, ah! And then I hear everybody ah! I'm like, damn it. So I missed the whole backflip off the cage onto the dude he was wrestling, and that's I hated myself ever since I missed that shot. But I think that's it.
I think that was upsetting. You saw the distress on your face. Oh my god.
Yeah. It's like war.
We understand it over here. We completely see it. We're good with it.
All right, Ryan. That leaves you. Since you guys all hate the photos you take, which still.
I mean, I'm trying to. The reason I can't remember is because I've missed so many that it's just too many to count.
Let's go with the most recent.
I don't even know.
Ryan's I shot 24 days of tennis.
Every event I've missed. You know what I mean? I always miss something. It's awful. What's really annoying is that I will. I think okay. So most of my misses are because if I'm shooting a fight, I have 2 cameras, and minimum, and so no matter what, if I have a 70-200, that's going to be a great wide shot. And then if I have a big wide shot, there's going to be something that if I was tight, it would have looked awesome. So basically, no matter which lens I pick, it's the wrong lens for the moment. There was a giant flying knee that I missed because I had a 70-200 and I was cropped in real tight, and so all I got was half of the guy's body and part of the other dude's head, and it would have looked amazing if I knew what I was doing, but I screwed it up. And so there's that. I was actually talking about it the other day that I shot an MLW show in Chicago, and they had Jacob Fatu jump from the cage, and I didn't know he was going to do it. And then you're like, oh, I think, yep, he's climbing, he's insane, he's going to jump. So then I had to run to the other side, but I didn't have a wide enough lens on me at the time. Had I known that he was going to do it, so really, like, there's no way to tell how high up it was, and like there's the distance from the mat to the cage. So it's a fine shot of him jumping, but it's not very, like, it's just not what I wanted. And so that's the most frustrating part. Just like when Speedy was talking about like knowing something's going to happen and trying to get in the right position, like I'm guaranteed feels the same way. That's me every time for every event, because what people don't realize is that people think like you're sitting at an event and you're taking pictures and that's it. But in reality, what you're doing is you're constantly thinking the whole time, like, okay, the light's coming from that side. He's going to be over there, but this person's going to be there. So I kind of want to be here because I want to shoot low. But at the same time, I need to be able to make it wide so that people can see how big of a moment this is. But at the same time, that person's going to be there and I want to get their reaction. So I'm going to need to go tight for this. And so your brain, for me, when I'm done with an event, I am exhausted mentally. Like my brain is just completely finished because I have not stopped thinking from the minute I walked in or even before the venue until afterwards.
Yeah.
So basically, I miss everything. That's my answer.
But I love Phil kept just holding up 3 fingers because he looks like he's somebody's.
Well, I'm the
purse.
same way he is. I've got 2 hanging from me, and sometimes I've got one sitting down between my feet. And, it's usually got either a 14 to 24 on it or a fisheye. And depending on where we're at and what we're shooting. So I've got the 3 too. But at the same time, just like he says, you're always planning. I'm sure Speedy's the same way. You're planning and you're like, okay, this will look cool. Oh, wow. While you're shooting a fight, you see something like really cool in the crowd. That'll look a great backdrop. How can I get over here? How can I get that image? I hope they move to this side of the fight or this side of the ring as they're fighting, because that'll be a great backdrop against it. And all at the same time, you've got a camera plastered to your face, still trying to shoot the action while it's going on. And so, yeah, it's easy to miss stuff. I mean, the only reason my images look good from BKFC 7 with Polly and Artem, thank you, is because Ryan edited for me.
Saved them.
Listen, that was one of the coolest things. I don't know if it was 7 or 8, whatever the Gonzaga fight, where in between rounds I'm getting text messages from Phil, like just of the fight, of pictures, and I'm like, this is the coolest thing in the world because I'm watching this and you're sending me stuff.
Well, the cool thing about it was, so Ryan taught me this, and James as well, is that and I'm sure Speedy's the exact same way. Get it right in camera. You don't have to do that much. I mean, I've got a very minimal editing style, and I know Ryan does too, except for you're doing artistic stuff and things of that nature. But if you get it right in camera, you don't have to sit there and adjust every little thing, for every image or even, the entire night. And so you do your selects, you push out 10, 20 images per fight or anything like that. And the nice thing, at least on Ryan and I, like the Mac, you can airdrop it right to your phone and boom, yeah, you can send it right out. So that's the nice thing. And you can pop them out and they're there and they're live. And that was, years ago when you waited on film, for an event, or, back when I rode motorcycles, you'd go race and you'd hope that the guy that took the pictures at your race in St. Louis was the same guy that came to Kansas City to take your pictures so you could actually buy the image of you from St. Louis. So.
Wow. Phil, I don't know. I don't think you meant to date yourself there. But
yeah. Right. There's film cameras right there, right behind this computer. So there's even a nice Contax G2 that I've had for about a year now.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
See now.
Imagine where I got that, Ryan? It was someone left it at a hotel, and then I got a text going, "Oh my God, I left my G2 at the hotel in downtown Denver. Would you go get it?"
Wonder who that could be.
Yeah. And I've had him on the phone 100 times. Give me your address. I'll send it to you. Oh, don't worry about it right now.
Should we call this person out, or is that?
No. So what happens is Phil has this luck with film cameras. So obviously James left his film camera there. My Contax T3 broke at a BKFC, and it's just impossible to fix because apparently there's only one place in the entire country that can fix this camera, and obviously COVID hit right at the exact same time on purpose. What I'm saying the conspiracy of COVID is so I could not get my camera fixed.
So I've got this really nice G2.
Hey, he's holding cameras hostage
with a Kill Spencer strap.
Yeah.
and it's been mine for a year, so I think it's pretty much mine now.
We went like
Is that
super
squatting
photo
rules?
nerds, and I'm loving this.
Yeah. Squatters rules. There you go.
I think like we're all like, I mean, I'm pretty cool, but we're all nerds. Like at the end of the day, like I'm a giant nerd, and like I just want to like look at other people. Yeah, exactly. I just
So
want to look
I'm
at
gonna
like,
do this and see if anybody recognizes the poster.
I was trying to look at it.
So it's an
I don't know if you
Aerith.
can see what
It's
the-
an Aerith
the-
poster. And this is my Knob Creek light bulb.
sick.
Because that's what I did during COVID. I was like, I'm going to learn how to drill holes in glass bottles.
Oh wait, here we go. This will help.
Oh.
If I'm looking at a camera screen. Yeah.
Is that better? But I also have on this side, God, I'm not good at this. My Adam West signed Batman poster, which is probably the
that's
coolest
sick.
thing I own.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yes. I've met 2 Batmans, and that makes me extremely happy. So we're all nerds here, then. That's for sure.
I've got a signed Ryan Loco photo.
I don't have one of those, so I think we need
It
to
was
make
a
that happen.
Polaroid, but he signed it. So,
Oh. So
and I've got the #1 issue of FYP. So,
So you can use that as a coaster.
or
You're very
FYC.
lucky.
FYC. Sorry.
Ooh. And Speedy's just stuck on his screen. I don't know what's going on with him.
Oh, still not
He's
Ryan
there.
Loco. Oh, he's moving. He's moving.
Oh,
What's up?
what did he do?
Oh, that's sick.
Nice.
Listen, there's a Mr. Freeze statue on the other side of my room. I'm not going to get that, but that's
I've got
Arnold's-
a Voltron Lego. I mean,
Arnold
I've got-
Schwarzenegger.
yeah.
Sick.
Oh, and for all you other nerds,
Oh.
Yeah.
Me, my stupid.
so I don't think I've ever done this on the show, and I guess now's as good a time as any. So, like 2008-ish, 2009, I went as Milton for Halloween. Like, I had
I can see
TPS
it.
reports. I had a mini stapler. I bought the glasses. I think I saved a picture of this just because I knew I'd have to bring it up eventually.
I can see it actually. So
But I also did the voice because
That's dedication.
We all come in closer.
yeah, that's right.
So,
That was pretty good.
That's nice. Yeah, that's nice.
Oh yeah.
so
You
I,
sort of look like Jim Halpert too. Though.
so I walked around.
You
it
look
was
like Jim Halpert when he dressed up like Dwight.
oh my god, this outfit cost me $11.
That's right. Yeah.
But so I did the whole Halloween, and I walked around the whole place going, but I was told I could be by the squirrels, and they were married. But I told you if you move my desk one more time, I'd set the building on fire. So, thank you for bringing that. But the nerds in us, like, that just made me so happy because I think that goes back to, like, when you talk to fighters, you guys have all gotten to know fighters, wrestlers, all kinds of people. They're not the people you think they are. You know, most of the BKFC guys, not barbarians. I did almost watch Reggie Pena and, oh gosh, Juggernaut miss each other in the bathroom, and I feel like they would have fought in there, and I feel like that would have been a moment to call Speedy and Ryan and say, hey, we need you to shoot this bathroom fight.
They were pretty heated through the entire. I thought it was kind of
Lorenzo
a work
Hunt,
and a
there we go.
build-up. Yeah, but they didn't like each other the entire time at all.
I don't know. Maybe Speedy can also agree. I have shot a wrestling match in a bathroom.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
What?
Yes.
I know. Let's see. This is fun part where you rack your brain going, have I
Let's-
done something this dumb?
Let's talk about the fact that we have to think if you shot in a bathroom or not.
There's been a lot of dumb places.
Yeah.
I know for a fact I've gotten several shows of matches coming out of a bathroom. Now in a bathroom. I've done a kitchen recently.
Oh, see?
Uh,
I shot Ken Shamrock against Tom Lawler, and they wound up fighting in
Yeah, that was
in
at the
bathroom.
bar.
Yeah, at a bar in
Yeah.
Atlanta during Super Bowl
Yeah.
weekend. And they ended up fighting, and like Shamrock dunks Lawler's head into the toilet. And then the best part was because they're filming and streaming it, but they got these like Sony hand cams with their like with cords. They're
Corded,
not
yeah.
wireless, so they could not get to the bathroom. So you see the camera just stop like 5 feet before the door. But then Ken and Tom obviously don't know this, so they're just fighting. Like, they're just going crazy. It's awesome.
And it's what was the best shot you got from that? Did you get the toilet dunk? Like, did you get?
I had to. Well, I was shooting like over, like because like it was Ken, Tom, the referee, and then another photographer, and so I'm shooting over, and so like there's a shot I got of like Tom with his head just drenched because he just came out of the toilet, and that was pretty good.
I'll take that photo. I will take that. That's hilarious.
All those shots from that whole match were amazing. That was a really cool one.
There's something about when you shoot a no ring show.
Yeah.
It's next level. Like the athletes that participate in a no ring show truly love what they're doing because you have to. Because lots of times you're doing it in front of about 9 people, you know? And they act as if there's 50 million people watching, which is the most beautiful thing to me. And so I love it. I don't know. I know Speedy doesn't have to shoot these no ring shows anymore, but have you shot one?
I still do. Yeah. There's a company in Orlando that does it in a bar. Yeah, and I go up there and I do it every now and then. Because like a ring kind of gives you the rule that like you have to stay in the ring, and then when you go out, it's like, whoa, they're outside of the ring. But here there's no ring, so there's no barriers. They'll go outside of the building, they'll go upstairs, they'll do whatever because the barrier is the fans, and you can break through the fans if you want. You have like a 10x10 space that just moves because the fans just move wherever they want. And it's a bar, so there's alcohol everywhere. Just the creativity comes out in everybody. Now, the ring, you got to do something.
And it's usually when I get the most jealous because like there was one, I forget who it was, might have been, I don't remember, but like off the top of like a U-Haul truck. Janela, I think, did something off like a roof or something. It was Zandig or something, maybe someone else, I don't know. And then like Kota Ibushi, I think, was doing something with like fireworks on the top of a car. So like I'm sitting there going, I would kill for any of these shots that these guys are getting. Like pretty much anytime I see anyone else's photo, I get jealous because I wish that I was there.
Which is still a pretty like amazing thing because you're not a stranger. Like no one here is a stranger to anyone in the combat sports world, whether it's WWE or MMA or Phil and his motocross. We still got to talk about your early motocross days riding motorcycles, but we'll get there. People don't understand, like, you'll see a shot and I'll be like, man, I wish I caught that. Man, I wish I was in the crowd when that moment happened.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if it's a thing of like, it's not where I'm like, man, I wish I took that shot. It's more like, man, I wish I was there with them taking those shots,
I get that. Yeah.
Well, and it's like you talked about, the Shamrock fight. So obviously, not a plug. I'm not getting paid to do this. I'm reading the Shamrock book, which has a photo you took.
Yeah.
So what was it like to, have the picture on the front of the book and then get to shoot a match? Obviously they coincided one way or another, but what was that like to shoot a match for somebody who, you have that tie into?
Yeah, so, I mean, what happened was that we went up to Atlanta for Super Bowl weekend, and there were 2 events. One was the Ultimate Bar Brawl. The next was Come Hell or High Water, which is like, AEW wasn't around yet, but like the talks everything was coming about. So Cody was there with the Young Bucks and Hangman Page. They all met because it was in Atlanta, so they made an appearance and, started the rumblings and everything talking. But, like I just shot Ken in the back of the venue, which was about the size of a closet, because at pro wrestling shows there's really not a lot of room, and it was a grated garage door, and I just popped in there, took like 5 to 10 photos of Ken real quick. I was like, oh, these came out all right. And then John Snowden, the author of the book, he saw them. He's like, oh, that'd be a perfect book cover. And I was like, oh, sick. I mean, I don't care how long you've done this or where your pictures end up. And I was even telling the story about how me and Speedy actually had photos in Vegas on the billboards at the exact same time, because I was there for a fight and they were showing AEW on TNT, and like literally giant billboards. Both of our photos are next to each other. I thought it was the coolest thing. But what I'm saying is that no matter how long you do this, it still is an awesome feeling to see your pictures in print or in the wild. It doesn't matter what it is. So like anytime like I can hold a physical thing like a book with my picture on it, like blew my mind.
And that's so just like what he said right there. Ryan, myself, and James. There's a poster from Glory 30 maybe. I can't remember, but Ryan shot one of the people. I think you shot Joe, and James shot Tiffany, and I shot Dustin. And because we were in California, we were in Ontario, and we all signed the poster, and I've still got it. That's like one of the coolest things because it was from 3 different studio sessions that we did. And like I said, I had shot Jacoby, you had shot Schilling, and I think James had shot Tiffany. But they all ended up on the same poster, and it was just the neatest thing ever. And like the Knight and Artem poster, that one to me, it's awesome because all of my studio images and all my fight images are what's on that poster. And I had 2 posters made, and I had Artem and Jason signed them, and they're sitting in a tube, and I'll get them framed and hung up sometime. But it's probably one of my, next to that Glory one, it's one of my favorite ones.
And that's got to be an amazing feeling. So, like, I remember when I was shooting local, like, Newport Richie, and you had guys like Mike Perry and Alex Nicholson fighting in the middle of nowhere, basically. You know, I remember the first time I saw a flyer. It was like those printed out ones that have the metal stands, like the yard sale signs. But it was my picture, and I'm driving down the road, and I almost crashed my car. Because I was like, my girlfriend was like, what? And I was like, that was my picture. Like, that was me. Like, so I can't imagine, like you said, being on the poster or being in the Vegas marquees. Like, that stuff just has to blow your mind. Even if you've been doing it for as long as you have, it's still something where you're like, is it almost like validation? Or is it just kind of like, that's pretty awesome?
The coolest one, like he said on the marquee, was Glory 16. I think it was 2014, and it was Pat Barry. And I got to do the Pat Barry stuff, and that was when Glory was still on Spike. And they put a billboard up on I-25, and I literally pulled off the side of the road. It was just, to me, it was 6 years ago, but it was a cool feeling. It was the first time I'd ever seen an image I took that large.
Yeah.
And it was on a billboard on the side of the interstate, and I just like pulled over and sat there for a second, and I was just in shock. And it was kind of I'd seen other things on the front of magazines, motorcycles, things like that, and that was cool, but I'd never had anything of that magnitude at that time. So I thought it was really neat. And I called James. I don't think I called you. I called James, and I was just like, I don't think I was shaking, but I was just stoked about it. So
and for me, it's really cool. It's a cool feeling for about 5-7 seconds.
Then you drive off, and it's done.
And then I look at the photo, and I was like, man, I should have done this.
Yeah. Yes.
Why didn't I do this? Or why didn't they use that one? Why did they use this one? So like,
my rim light didn't fire on this one. Oh,
it's like.
But everybody else is looking at it, going, "That's amazing," and you're like, "Son of a bitch!" Like,
yeah, that's the thing. It's like you look at it like any photo, the photographer, I guarantee you, like the people go, "That's great," and the photographer goes, "It's really not." No, here's 100 reasons why it's awful.
Mm-hmm.
And so like. Yeah, like I'll take a picture and send it to my mom, and she gets all excited and everything like that. And then I learned a long time ago from this old man who told me when someone pays you a compliment, just take it. Because I used to argue with people. They'd be like, "Hey, man, that's really good." And I'm like, "It's not." And they're like, "No, we really think it's great." It's not. Here's why you're wrong. Here's why, like,
still argues.
Yeah, so now I just go, "Thanks," and then I walk away. But yeah.
So we're gonna announce it here.
Rumble.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Ryan, you and I are gonna work on a book. It's gonna be 50 photos, and you're gonna say 100 things what's wrong with every photo.
I could do that. In my sleep, I could do that.
All right, let's do it.
It's a thick book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Page 3075. Picture number
You're
2.
on photo 3.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So for Speedy, because he shoots every week, like images that end up on television and stuff like that. But can you, because I have this weird ability, can you remember each photo when that shows up?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
crazy,
weird.
Right? I have the worst memory in the world.
What I said. Yeah.
I have the worst memory in the world, and I can remember photos.
It's like a weird PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they use that pose. God damn it.
I see that when it comes up on the TV graphics, and I'm just like, why'd you use that one? I gave you 2. That's the worst one,
Always. It's like the graphic design thing too. You like if you design logos for somebody, you give them like 4 logos, and you make one intentionally really bad so they don't pick that one. They always pick it. Mm-hmm. Always. Same thing with the photos.
or the clarity slider when the graphic designer gets it. You were there when I was having that blow up, weren't you, Ryan? Yeah, they took.
So
they took
there's
an
a
image
story
and
behind
just,
it.
like,
I'll tell you afterwards.
Yeah.
Clarity slider.
I kind of had a meltdown. I said, if you want the rim lights a little hotter, tell me. And he literally went 100 in Lightroom, took it over to Photoshop, and then went 100 in Camera Raw, and then brought it back to Lightroom and took it to 100 again. It was bad.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. Speedy,
I think Speedy's about to fall out of his chair.
So,
God. Cringe hour right here.
That was painful to even listen to. Like,
Ryan knows. He saw it. He saw me melt down about it too. So I should have shut up. I couldn't.
It's you pretty much just get used to it, and you sort of learn now. Like, I'm just not gonna like this. If a photo's iffy, you just don't include it because 99 times out of 100, that's the photo they use for some weird reason. And so it's just you just can't. It's really difficult because then you're always worried about the fear. Like, you send photos and they're gonna email you back like, "Is this it? Is this all of them? I thought we took more." And it's like, guys, I can't send you. I promise you, you don't want to see these ones. Like, if you saw all the photos I took, you'd realize I don't know what I'm doing. So that's why I have to curate and send you like a couple.
So on a given night, and I'll ask, this is for everybody, how many pictures would you say you take? And how many pictures make the cut?
Well, so okay, I'll go first just because I just had this happen with tennis. First day shooting tennis, I'm like, all right, let's get the bearings going. And so I'm shooting burst mode because I don't want to miss anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so after the first, it was 3 matches a day, which is a lot of tennis.
Yeah.
So I probably went through 5,000 images for that first day, right? And I sent over like 110. And then, for 110 each match, so 300 total.
Okay.
And then I was like, I can't sustain this for 24 more days. I will die. And my computer will die, my camera will die, my hard drives will die. So then I was like, screw it. I'm going to completely flip it. And I'm going to only shoot single shots, and I'm going to try to keep it under 100 for each match. And that's what I did.
Really?
Yep. Complete test where I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to – because I also had the barrier or the buffer of like, if I miss the shot today, I'm shooting the same person tomorrow in the same place. So we'll figure it out, It's
almost like you got to redo every day. Like, I'll take a mulligan on this one.
It was like Groundhog Day. Like, cool, I get to shoot, I get to try this all over again. But yeah, that was my personal test to myself because otherwise, fight-wise, like when I shot Mayweather McGregor, I literally just held the button down because I was like, I don't want to miss a single thing. And then I went back and I was like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, you're shooting nothing, nothing, but you're paranoid because it's such a big fight. But the one shot that I don't take will be the crazy shot.
Yeah. What was that like? Like, not to go off topic, but.
So it was like, it was crazy because there was 2 levels of security. So you had to go through security just to get to security. All of our lanyards had special chips that you had to scan every time you went through any door, which I've never had to do at a thing ever before. And then also boxing fans are notoriously late for fights. And so we got to the venue and there's like 3 other fights beforehand and no one's in the crowd. And so we had this perfect storm of boxing fans and people that are only there to see Conor McGregor. So right before the fight's about to start, there was no one in the arena. And we're almost sitting there going, are we crazy? Like, is no one going to show up to this? Like, did we hype this up and no one cares? Or like, were the tickets too expensive? And then as soon as the national anthems hit, everyone rushed in because obviously they were just getting wasted outside. Mm-hmm. And so they all rushed in. And about 4 seconds later, the fight was over. I don't remember anything. I just know that I fucking sat there like this.
So in Ryan's world, 30 minutes was 4 seconds.
It was like blinked and it was over. But I think all of us have had that where like it's some crazy thing and they come back like, dude, what was it like to be that close and to see it? And you're like, I don't know.
Yeah. That was me at WrestleMania. Undertaker's retirement match. I don't remember anything.
Yeah.
But you got the shots.
I'm sure I did.
Who knows?
I got something.
I think that's the worst because, like, when you go back and, especially shooting MMA, when there's a match that's so quick, and you're like, I got the walkouts. All right, that's the next fight. You're going through your pictures, and you're like, well, that's the next fight. I guess I missed that whole fight.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've had it where, like, fights have been, like, 10 seconds long, and the only shot I got was, like, right as they're, like, touching gloves, and that's it. And then I have to somehow explain to people, like, for media-wise, like, why I have nothing, you know?
And then
like,
the fighters, too. That's always fun. Explaining
And then the other thing, too, at least for me with fighters, is that I get fighters sometimes that are like, man, how come you didn't get any good shots of me? And I'm like, because you didn't do anything. Like, I hate to break it to you, but, like, you didn't do anything that fight. Like, you got your ass kicked for 10 minutes. Like, I tried, and I'm not, like, sometimes they think you're picking favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I've had it where someone's like, man, you never post good photos of me. I'm like, you're getting hit in the face. I have no favorites when it comes to photos.
I'm in the wrong corner. Sorry. Like, they put me where they put me.
If my little brother is getting kicked in the face and it looks awesome, I'm posting it because, you know, I have no favorites.
All right,
I get those from fighters, or, you know, I'm stationed behind a little flag right at a ring post, you know, and I can only shoot my span of what I can see. And sometimes it'll be, you know, the only thing I can see is one fighter, just like you said, getting hit in the face every time. And sometimes it's cool, and some fighters love to see that. They love, oh man, I got hammered, you know. And some fighters are, how come you only got pictures of him punching me in the face? I'm like, well, you either weren't doing anything, or you were right behind him the whole time and I couldn't get anything. So, but they the same way, they're like, why do you do that? It's not like we do it on purpose, I promise.
Well, I remember at the last Bare Knuckle that was in Tampa, people yelling at you to get out of the way. They were yelling at the cameraman, and I was like, guess what? They're not going to move for you.
Nope.
So
I'll tell you, like, and I've seen Ryan do it, and I have not seen Speedy do it. I've watched AEW, so he's really good. You know, I always wear black, but I'm 6'4". You know, it's hard to hide me, but even seeing like Ryan and seeing some of the other photographers at WWE and AEW, you guys are amazing, because with the crowd that's going on, plus the event and everything, and being live and televised, you still don't see you guys. You're hidden, but then the images come out and you're like going, I know there was a shot right over there and I didn't see either one of you, you know. And you know, that's awesome. I mean, when we're around the UFC or when we're in Glory, we're stationed behind two of the posts that are behind the cameras looking at, but you know, so we're right in the camera the entire time. At UFC, we're on our knees for 10 freaking hours, it feels like. But the wrestling bit, I find that amazing. Just watching you guys, seeing the images that you come up with, you know, you get the whole aura of what's going on, and then you're like, how did I not see the photographer? And they got that shot, and I know that the camera was looking right there that entire time, and I think that's amazing what you guys do. So,
well, yeah. So Speedy will be able to explain this way better than I can. But just in the short, limited ones that I've done, what's crazy to me is that the cameramen for wrestling, the actual video, they work with the photographer. Versus, I feel like at MMA events, like I'm always fighting them, and I'm like, yo, same team.
Yeah,
so at least for pro wrestling, it's like, no, you're like shadowing them. Like you're literally on their shoulder, and sometimes like you're making sure they don't fall, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you pick their cords up, move them, and yeah.
Yeah, but for pro wrestling, right?
Yeah, literally. There's a promotion that used to be in Tampa, and they used to run cords, and every now and then the camera guy would have to run. There'd be another photographer on the other side of the ring, so I'd let them do their thing, and I'd just pick up the cable and just extend it. I'd grip for them as they'd run along. And as they come back, we just work together. We'd have like touch signals, because I'd be on his right side where he can't see anything. So if he's moving my way and there's no space to move, I tap him on the shoulder and he knows to stop and all that stuff. Not a lot of us do that. The higher up guys do, because we understand the importance of like the shot that can't be broken, which is video. And photos, you know, you can stop and move around, but video just has to keep going. But for smaller promotions, for photographers who are less experienced, they still haven't figured that out yet, so they'll do whatever they can,
and they'll stand wherever they want.
Yeah, I'm trying to fix that. We have like a group on Facebook, and we all talk One of the things I'm trying to implement is kind of just like be a ninja when you're ringside. So fans can't see you, cameras can't see you. It's better if the wrestlers don't know you're there, so you can get raw moments and they don't like VT you or whatever. But that's, some just the mentality that was given to you by like old WCW guys and like old WWF guys is kind of just like camera to your face and just don't be visible. That's what production likes. So just do that.
What, you mean you didn't shoot AWA? What's going on? You don't go back that far? Am I showing my age again?
Yes, you are.
A little bit. Yeah. I haven't shot ringside for AEW yet. I shoot from the crowd when they need me, when there's like a big event, a big thing going on in a match. But I'll still ninja around the arena. I'll duck under the crowd and everything, get my shots that way. So that way, the crowd doesn't see me at all. But yeah, just something I've been trying to drive into people. It's just like be a ninja, so like you don't stick out or anything.
Well, and
any of us
that have shot a wedding, it's the same thing. You've got you're shooting the wedding, and somebody just walks right in front of the bride and groom with their like 8-year-old cell phone trying to take a picture, and you're like, get out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a professional courtesy that comes, because I remember I shot World Series of Fighting. I think it was 15. It was Gaethje and Gillard. And I remember seeing one particular photographer. I don't want to say it was Lucas Noonan, but I think it was. I might be wrong. If I was, I'm sorry. But I remember he was the person they hired to take the pictures. Like, he was their guy. There were times where I was standing in his spot. You better believe I moved. Because I was just like, you could see him look and be like, there was an X on the ground. Like, that's his spot. So you move out of the way. Like you said, trying to ninja your way. Make sure you're not in the shot, because, Phil, like you said, you're 6'4". The fact that you're not in more of the shots in Glory and Bare Knuckle is amazing, but it's a testament to the camera work and to the self-awareness. And I love that Speedy brought that.
And weight loss. I'm down 43 pounds now. So
Right, he's a beast.
Congratulations.
Well,
Yeah.
good thing I
You did
found
the
it, so
opposite.
we're good.
You did the opposite COVID diet.
Yeah.
But, well, I think I can't remember. I was telling Ryan something about it. I just felt I saw some pictures from an event, and I saw like how big my gut was and everything. And someone had taken some crowd photos, and I was just standing there with our Evan Zentar as my media director.
I think that was me. I'm sorry.
Bare Knuckle. And no, it wasn't you. And someone took the picture, and I was standing there talking to him. He's the main video guy for them. And I saw the photo, and I'm just like, holy crap. And so, luckily being in quarantine, and I travel a lot still. So I was, I've traveled so much in my life. I've got like the highest status in all the hotels and stuff. So at Holiday Inns, they were letting Spire people still use the gym and giving us like cleaning stuff. So every night went to the gym, got on the treadmill, got on the bike, got on the elliptical, and just do some stuff. And I think it was like 9-10 weeks, I'd lost like 43 pounds. I got down to 220. So
Wow.
I was at
Good for you,
I was
man.
263. And when I was in Kansas, when everything shut down, I was 263 when I came home, and I saw that, and I was just ridiculous. I can see it in my face. My face way skinnier now.
I got you
But I'm
beat, but
almost
I'm not
50.
talking about my weight on my show.
Yeah.
I think that just thinking like the hotels and stuff is like, I think people think like, because we travel a lot, but I don't see anything. You know, like I
You
see
the inside of
I
a
see
hotel room.
I see the inside of a hotel room, then I see the venue, and then I see a shuttle to the airport, and it's like, I feel bad because it got me thinking, because you were mentioning how you were like in Lucas's spot, and like people think like you're being a dick, like, oh, that's my spot. It's like, no, I have shots that I have to get.
Yeah.
And the people that pay me will be very mad if I don't get these shots. I'm not trying to take your spot. I just need to get this photo of the guy holding the belt. I need to get them celebrating. Then you can do whatever the hell you want. But if I don't get this photo, I have to explain to a dude in a tie why I fucked everything up.
Yeah.
You know?
The guy who's giving you a paycheck to be like,
Yeah.
why didn't you get
So
this?
that's
Well,
what-
there was a guy in my
yeah.
spot.
So like people think it's like all this glamour, but it's really like us being paranoid all night and then going to sleep in some shitty hotel room and then waking up to fly back home to get ready to do it all again in another week.
You get
And,
the
like-
best job ever. You get to do whatever. No.
No.
Yeah.
and that's what's so depressing at the same time, is that you look at the shots that get taken, the shots that get posted, and you're like, man, like you said, you're right. that's the greatest job ever. But you really think about it and you really go into it. And like you said, you see the inside of a hotel room, you see the inside of a shuttle and the plane ride home, and then you do it all over. So do you ever really get to enjoy what you do? I'm asking Ryan because he's really thinking about it down there.
Well, I mean, I think as a whole, I enjoy it. Like I really do. Like it's the only thing I can really now picture myself ever doing, and I love to do it. And like, that was good. But like, obviously, everything is a job, and like no matter what, like every person, their job is their job, and they find things that are wrong with it. So like, while I am complaining, we're all complaining. It's really like, come on. Like it's pretty fun. It's pretty dope. Like
it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Some dumb people pay us and like fly us out places, take photos. You know what I mean? Like it's so stupid.
I will say that. So the UFC, the 25th anniversary that happened in November in Denver here. Yeah. So it was kind of nice. Sean Shelby gave me tickets, and it was the coolest thing ever because I hadn't been to a UFC in I don't know how long. As a fan, if I went, we were, cage side, just like I said, sitting on your knees on that stupid little padded board all night long, and it was the coolest thing ever. And I mean, they weren't ringside or anything like that. I'm like, just give me something anywhere. I don't care. Pepsi Center's good. So he gave me 4 seats, and I brought some neighbors from up here, and we went down there. Brian Rogers, an old UFC Bellator fighter, and
I love Brian.
And it was dope because I hadn't been to an event in so long and actually got to see an event and, not have to worry about, well, got to get my images out. They got to get to the AP. They got to get here. It was just the coolest thing ever. So,
and that's weird, the amount of stress that disappears. And I'm only going to touch on this because it's like PTSD. So I remember the first MMA fight. It was Bellator 94. And nobody told me about the no chairs, knee pads. Nobody told me about any of that. So I showed up and I'm watching these dudes all strap on knee pads and they've got little stools and I'm going, I don't understand. And they're like, oh, this is what you need to do. And they're like, don't stand up. And I'm like, so I remember 5 hours on concrete. And at one point, as the night went on, my space went from this big to this big to this big to the point where like I went to the bathroom and I came back and I didn't have a spot anymore.
Yep.
So I got moved to a corner, and the first thing the guy in the corner does is spit his water out, and it comes down right next to me. And I just remember going, this spot sucks. I was like, I want my old spot back. So, go ahead, Phil.
No, yeah, I was just saying, yeah, that's right. So.
Have you ever shot basketball?
No.
Oh,
yes.
It is like if someone offered me the Laker gig, I'd be like, I'll do one game because
that bad?
You have to sit on the hardwood for the entire time, and it is the most uncomfortable thing in the world.
And the only time you can really move is TV timeouts, and you can't get up.
You can't get up. So all you're doing is like you're doing this weird stretch and pull because you can't, and then you have to get right back into it. It is horrific.
Yes.
Well, good thing I'm never going to shoot a basketball game. I can't even watch a basketball game, let alone shoot it.
You don't want anything to do with it.
It's awful. It truly is. Set up a remote and just walk away, and then just hold the button.
Get a hot dog and just
just click away.
Be like, why is there a picture of the referee only this entire time? Well, so I'm gonna make you guys really think on this one. What's like the one time, like what was one of the favorite people that you met or you got to photograph because of what you do?
Ryan.
I like that Ryan.
Is that your answer, or are you telling me just go?
No, I'm asking.
Shooting Ryan. It was always fun. So, honest to goodness, Ryan's real good about he's a good light test, as I've been for him, and things of that nature. I've shot some pretty cool people over the years, and it's been really neat. But Ryan was someone that and still do look up to, and it thrills me to death when I get to work with him, or work with James or anything or Al or Ed or anybody like that. But he's such a good guy. He's been a good friend of mine for a decade or more maybe, and So when he steps in, and even if he's just goofing off, it's still cool to me because I, kind of fangirl, I guess. He was kind of an idol, as I was coming up the chain, and I'm still way down here. I'm down here by Ryan. If you look down there, I'm over here down there somewhere. But so it's cool when I get to work with him, or like I said, just for lighting tests or something like that. It's fun to me for him or James to get in front of the lens, and I get more worried about taking a photo of one of those two than I do of any athlete that comes in front of me for any studio day, because that's easy stuff. Turn to your right, firefighter, you can do that stuff in your sleep. But then those guys, it's almost a creative bit, and to me, it's more fun, and that's more. I guess it's more special to me that way for those guys than it is for anything else.
Thanks, buddy.
Are you gonna cry now? I'm gonna cry.
Damn.
I need tissues.
All right, Ryan, what do you have to say to that? Because
wow. Letting Phil meet me was probably the nicest, greatest thing I've ever done. No, I just I'm trying to think. So I got a Mike Tyson tattoo years and years and years ago, and I remember joking with the tattoo artist. I was like, I'm gonna get Mike Tyson to sign it one day. I'm like, okay. I was never thinking that, but then he came to a Glory event in Virginia, and I took photos of him, and I got him to sign my arm, and I went and got his signature tattooed on me.
Oh my
so that
God.
was pretty cool. Yeah.
All right, we got to see it. Where is it?
Just because I never thought it would happen, So that's why it's pretty cool. I mean, honestly, though, getting the fact that anyone wants me to take their photo, it still blows my mind. So every day I'm stoked. I feel like a little kid. Every day I'm geeked, I'm amped, and it blows my mind. But so I got Mike Tyson as Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
Oh my God!
Oh, nice,
And then there's his signature.
dude.
And so he signed it, and then it was during the event, and then I had to day of the event. So then I had to go shower after the event, but I was showering with my hand out of the arm out of the shower. And then I flew home, landed just early enough that I could run to a tattoo shop, and I'm like, "Hey man, what's up? I need to get a tattoo." And of course the guy's looking at you like, "Okay, psycho." Weirdo. I'm like, "No, dude, I got to get a tattoo real quick. Don't worry, real quick. Whatever it costs, I'll pay it. I just need to get it done." He's like, "Okay, what for?" I go, "I got Mike Tyson to sign my arm." And he goes, "What?" And I was like, "No, for real." And I showed him. He started laughing. Then he immediately called his buddy. He's like, "Hey, man, I got to stay at the shop for an extra 20 minutes. No, it's Mike Tyson. No, yeah. No, the guy got him to sign his arm. No, Mike Tyson. The box. Yes. Actually signed his arm. Uh-huh. Okay." And so, yeah, so the guy did it, and that was pretty cool. But yeah, anyone. I am just as excited to take someone's photo today as I was when I first started. Doesn't matter how big and famous they are, or if they're just a little kid that needs a photo taken in a park. It's so dumb. Someone actually wants me to take their photo. It blows my mind.
And I think that's a cool thing too, because when people reach out to you and they go, "Hey, you want to take some pictures for me?" On one hand you're like, "Oh God," but at the same time you're like, "Yeah." We'll get to Speedy real quick, but before I forget, on Twitter, Mike Brown's profile picture is one I took.
See?
And I took it 4 years ago, and it's still his profile picture. So he either never changes it, but it was something I took at the ATT grand opening, and for me, it was huge because one of the first fights I ever watched was on a WEC wreckage, and it was his second fight with Faber. So for me, that was my introduction to MMA. So for me to get to meet him, I took a couple pictures. It was, like you said, it's nothing crazy. I looked at him and I was like, I like him, but I don't think anybody else is going to like him. So it's the exact opposite. But I remember seeing it, scrolling through my feed one day and going, "Hey, that's pretty cool." Yeah. So I think that was cool. And then I met Frank Mir, and it took so much not to fangirl. And I only say that just because the first article I ever wrote when I got into MMA journalism, which was a year and a half after I started watching fights, I wrote about Frank Mir dropping to light heavyweight. Because at the time, nobody did submissions. It was something that needed. And I remember I talked to him in the hotel in Orlando, and we started talking about the article I wrote, and he was like, yeah, and he started talking back, and I like had one of those moments where I was outside my body watching me just go like freak out because I'm like, he's talking about me. He's talking about something I did. So, I mean, I don't think I can beat Mike Tyson tattoos. So, Speedy, you've got a big challenge ahead of you to close this out. So,
I went from Ryan. He went to Mike Tyson. So now you got to do something good.
I can join. I can put Mike Tyson on the list because I work with that. That was an out of body experience too. He walked into the door, and I just blanked out. I'm like, oh, this is happening. And he's like, "What's up, man?" I'm like, "Oh, hey." But I wouldn't put him in my top 3 though. As cool as it was, and as big as it was, I would personally, like, to me, like, sentimental value of meeting somebody. I wouldn't put him out there. Maybe top 5. I'd put him at 5 really. 4 would be Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes.
Okay.
I met him at the very first TV airing of AEW. They came in to promote the tag belts. So they both held the tag belts, and I took pictures of them. That was a big deal for me.
Well, and they also brought Jericho to their road show when they did the Jay and Silent Bob reboot. So
yeah. Jericho's on that list because Jericho's like the guy that I looked up to when I started watching wrestling. Like WCW, Jericho is when like I started actually paying attention. So when he went over to WWF is when I really got interested in this stuff. So he's the guy that was kind of just like, he's my favorite of all time, like bar none. Like it's him, Shawn Michaels, Jeff Hardy, Ric Flair.
Yeah.
He was doing this thing, for anybody who's listening. He was doing this thing in WWE where he was doing like a friendship list or not friend list, and like, pissed him off, put you on the list. He's like, "You made my list," and all that stuff. So we were shooting for the rally in Vegas. And he comes into my set, and he's like, "Hey, I heard I'm on your list." I'm like, "Man, any fan in the world would just crumble right now if he heard you say that to them." So yeah, just like meeting this dude that like I idolized, come into my studio and trust me taking his picture. Like anytime we do that, it's just like it blows my mind. I think that's 3. 2 would be, man, I had this list planned and I forgot. 2 and 1 were.
Which is crazy because I didn't tell anybody I was going to ask you these questions, but you're all like, I know what he's going to do.
I got one more after Speedy. Yeah.
Shit,
Speedy, do you need some time for 2 and 1 so Phil can talk?
2 is definitely I like to study other wrestling photographers and photographers in general, unrelated to wrestling and wrestling related. But one of the biggest ones was a dude who used to shoot for Impact and TNA back in the day. Set the standard for wrestling photography on production for everybody. WWE, Ring of Honor. He worked for Ring of Honor and WWE too. Went from TNA to WWE to Ring of Honor, and now he's with us. He's a ringside guy, Lee South. And anytime I talk to him, like I'm talking to him like a normal person, and then every now and then I come out of him like, "Oh shit, it's Lee South. Fuck." So I have like a mini like breakdown, and I'm like back in the conversation with him. But yeah, he's a super cool dude, super professional, another nerd like everybody else I've met.
Did you just pull a comb out of nowhere? Like, did that?
This is my beard comb.
Oh, he was his beard earlier. You're not paying attention? What's going on?
All right, pay attention to me, man.
It disappeared for a while, and then all of a sudden there was a comb there. Like, you can't fault me for that one.
You know, you can't just, continuity errors are going to happen all the time.
Well, good thing it's video.
For real, like, you know, I don't know. I can't remember my number 1, which is.
I mean, I think that's kind of a problem if you don't remember who your number 1 is.
I was trying to like put him in the list. I'm like, oh, that's got to be number 1, and I totally forgot who it was.
So I'll jump back in to let you remember that. But so I did a lot of work for Shane Carwin when he was coming up in Ring of Fire here locally in Colorado, and I ended up working for him the entire time he was in the UFC. And the reason was my wife and him went to college together. And my wife graduated with kinesiology and sports medicine. She did all his stats in wrestling and did all his like work on him when he was playing football for Western State College. And so when he started making it big, I was doing some work for him. And then when he got really big and Bud Light signed him, he got that sponsorship. They were using some of my images for things. And the nice thing about that was I got some secondary work for them. So if you remember the whatever UFCs they had, one was in Crested Butte, Colorado. The other was at Catalina Island in California. So the one here in Colorado we did, I had shot Vanilla Ice one other time, and he actually was one of the performers here. So I got to hang out with him and do some off-brand shooting where none of the other photographers got to get around him. He took me up on top we went on top of the stage, and I got to get up behind him and shoot the entire scene where we talk about the whole, getting that whole era, which is one of my favorites because you see the blue streets all the way back to Mount Crested Butte, and he's up on top singing. And but the second or third to last Strike Force, we were in Portland, and age check again. I graduated high school in the 80s, so there's the age check. So MC Hammer, Vanilla Ice, those were two pretty big guys. And
listen, just because we weren't born in the age doesn't mean we can't appreciate that music, and that's a conversation for another time because we'll go on for another hour.
Esther Lynn and myself were the only two photographers shooting this event, and so we're up at the press conference in the back, and it was Nate Marquardt and Tyrone Woodley. That's when he beat Tyron. And so we're up there, and we're just taking pictures of this, and I got this guy just tapping me on the shoulder. Hey, man, you get any photos of Nate Marquardt? Did you get any photos? The whole time, and I'm just trying to shoot the press conference. And finally, he just wouldn't stop. So I turn around, I'm like, yeah, I did. I said, I'll get you some in a minute. And then I realized who it was. It was MC Hammer because he owned Alchemist MMA. And so I turned back around and looked at him, and I'm like, yeah, I said, I'll get you some. Give me a second here. And I have my phone out, and he yanks his phone away.
Phil, do you realize that was a moment where you could have just turned around and say, can't touch this? Yeah.
Yeah. But number my phone, he's like, just call me whenever you're done. So, like I said, I don't fangirl or anything like that with anybody, but I was standing next to him, and I'm like,
fangirled over Ryan, but that's.
Yes. Well, that's different. But and I'm like, hey, do you mind if I grab it? So I just selfied a photo. So I've got a couple selfies of me and Rob and me and MC Hammer, and it just kind of it's an age check for me, because it's me and it's two people musical interests back in the 80s. That one was kind of funny to me. I'm sorry. Did you figure out your number one, Speedy?
Yeah. I was just looking through my Instagram feed to see if I could remember. I was like, it's got to be on here.
So I love that Phil just did an age check, and Speedy's like, I used all this technology to find what I needed.
It's in a book too. I don't know. So it's not a huge name, but it's definitely something that these people kind of trusted me a lot with this. So it really meant a lot. So Sarah Logan and Ray, I forgot his last name. Sorry, dude. They're in WWE now. One half of the Viking Raiders, and Sarah Logan was doing her own thing in the women's division. They got married, and they're very into Viking culture. So they'll do Viking. It's kind of like LARPing, but legit fighting. They'll fight with steel swords and stuff like that. It's impressive. So they got married and did an authentic Viking wedding in Ohio. And they did it in the middle of a forest in a cabin with all their friends and family. It was just so close, and everything was just kind of very period accurate. We weren't allowed to wear street clothes or anything, so I was in Viking attire, and they were drinking out of goblets and stuff. Sarah had hunted a deer to feed everybody. It was rad, and I think I have the pictures on here. I have something that's sort of related to it on my Instagram, but to be trusted with something that's so special to them and special to the world, especially to the WWE. They kind of use some of the photos too. So just something that's so special and so unique to these two people, for them to trust me with that meant the world to me. So that had to be number one for sure.
Well, and to touch that and bring everything back together, thank you, everybody. I know, Ryan, your wife's probably this is going over.
He loves the break. Are you kidding?
Well, first of all, I want to thank Combat Press. Without it, I wouldn't know Phil. And in turn, I probably wouldn't know Ryan. I think we've met once, and I think it was oh, shit, that's Ryan Loco. And you just kind of kept walking. So it might have been at one of the bare knuckles. Speedy, I think I've met you, seen you twice, met you once. Did you shoot SpookyCon too? Or Spooky Empire?
I'm sorry, you were breaking up. Spooky Empire, yeah, the last one.
Yeah, the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that just made me sad too. I know. So,
well, yeah, we'll have some more next year. I'm sure. It'll happen.
So, Combat Press gave me the platform. I love that all of you were able to do the show because trying to do something different nowadays when everybody's got all this extra free time, it's a little bit harder. So bringing on photographers was something I'm very passionate about. Obviously, writing, photography. Like all three of you are people I look up to in one way or another. Obviously, Esther's already been on the show, so I'm not lying to you guys when I say I really do enjoy your work. So, thank you, everybody. Thanks to Epic Jits Tees for making my logo because we actually did this. It's my Frankenquig. It was something that we came up with 15 years ago. My best friend. I'm really good at claw machines. I'm not going to get into it. And he called me a Frankenclaw, and I said, well, it's a Frankenquig. And when I asked him to design this, I basically said I want a Frankenquig, and we came up with designs, and this is what we did. So I was actually really happy with it because again, it was something I put my brainchild into, and somebody else was able to make it come to life. And I think that's exactly what each one of us do when it comes to writing or photography. We're in charge of capturing something and portraying it to someone else to not only tell that story, but to make art and at the same time get paid at the end of the day. So thanks to everybody for coming on. I really appreciate it, and I hope you all have an amazing night, and definitely we'll have to all get on there soon because we didn't even talk about Paige being in bare knuckle, but I feel like that's a whole new thing. But since UFC 252 is tomorrow night, I'm gonna get predictions because why not? Stipe or DC, where are we going? Everybody's silent.
I don't know. I'm waiting for it to go in a clockwise order. So I'm looking at Phil.
Oh, don't start with me. Start with someone else. I'm.
All right, Ryan. I'm gonna make you first. So how about that?
Okay, so I'll do it very democratically. I have never shot DC officially, whereas I have shot Stipe. So there you go. I got to pick Stipe. DC is a lovely guy from everyone I've talked to and mutual friends, lovely human.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gotten out of picking fights because people take it personal, but I'll go Stipe just because, hey, DC hasn't set it up yet. It's up to photo shoot, dog.
Wow.
I mean,
I'm gonna have to go with Stipe. I don't know. I just don't see the trilogy ending with DC on top, and that's just me.
I feel like they're both going to be kind of just toe-to-toe at the end. Very sweaty, very tired, throwing blows, hockey punches. They both kind of come down, collapse. They're counting and what's going on? Then the Undertaker comes out and opens them up.
I'd watch that.
Yeah.
That sounds way better, actually.
Yeah.
And I also am going Stipe just because I feel like that. I don't like to say things are a fluke. In MMA, we always talk about you never know what could happen. You never know, and there's never, go back to Chael Sonnen and Anderson Silva 1. If you let somebody watch that fight today and not tell them what the outcome was and told them Anderson was going to win, they'd never believe you. Mm-hmm. I think that first fight, Stipe was cocky. I think he didn't expect DC to be able to knock him out. I think the second fight, DC forgot what his wrestling was, which was his downfall. So I think it's going to be a closer fight this time, but I see Stipe winning, and I actually see both of them retiring tomorrow. I was going to write about this, but Stipe, for the first time in UFC history, as far back as I've been able to find, in modern MMA period, will be the first person in UFC history to fight the same guy 3 times in a row.
Huh?
Which is insane because DC fought Derek Lewis in between. So DC has an extra fight, but Stipe would literally, if he left, his last 3 fights would be Daniel Cormier, all title fights, and coming out on top once more. So,
but he can't retire without putting someone over. It's the rule. So. It's the biz.
Where's JR when you need him? Oh my God! Oh my God!
Leave the boots in the ring.
Well, thank you everybody again. I really appreciate it. I don't expect shows to go this long, but it was way too much fun. So thank you everybody, and Quiggin Out.
Thank you.
It was an honor. Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.